Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair-agale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohai guzaimis, guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, balli kare. And thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning alongside Shahzad Hassan Khan. And with me, I have somebody, ladies and gentlemen, who happens to be very talented and makes sure always, while she's getting done with her news bulletin, that she does not forget to bid farewell to all of our amazing viewers who are out there. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we have with us Miss Hajra Sati. Hello Hajra, Assalamu Alaikum. A very warm welcome to World This Morning.
Thank you so much. Walaikum assalam and assalamu alaikum to everybody out there who's watching us. How are you, Shahzad?
I think I'm doing great so far, so good as well, because over the weekend I was in Lahore. Just yesterday I got back. I was stuck on motorway for 2 long hours because all of those rallies and everything going on over here.
I think we are living in Islamabad and we are the first ones to take the brunt of any rising political or social activity that is taking place here. And I was very excited to host this show. But when I struck the road, oh my God, I've commuted so far and I was becoming so nervous. Oh my God, I'm not able
to. I think it's going to be the run of the mill for you now from today onwards as well. But how does it feel to be on a morning show? You know, from how different do you think it is from being a newscaster to being a morning show host?
Right. So when you're reading news, you have to follow a particular, tune. It should be very formal. It should be very, newsy. You need to be a presenter. But morning show is different. You can have a little gupshup and you can have a more flair of your personality here.
Wow.
And,
So are you trying to say that, you never actually got the chance to share your flair of the personality before?
I think in news, you need to share the personality of the news, not as a morning show host.
Wow.
So,
I think that's wonderful. Yeah. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that you catch our flair, you catch our vibe today as well. We want to kind of ensure that you're going to have a great day. But first, we are going to share some good news with the rest of the world outside as well. First up, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely want to speak about the foreign minister visits China. What will be his action while he's in China, ladies and gentlemen, is something we will be talking about.
Right.
Haja, why don't you take the lead?
Right. So, of course, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi is leaving for China and he is about to meet a number of foreign ministers of various countries on the sidelines of the meeting of the foreign ministers of the neighboring countries as of Afghanistan.
Wonderful. And you know what he even said in the statement that the foreign minister, while his visit to China, he will also hold meetings with his counterparts from the Central Asian countries. Besides, he's expected to meet foreign ministers of Russia and Iran.
Right, that's very interesting, because how the regional grouping is taking shape here. And he further said that during these meetings, regional issues, peace and stability will be discussed.
Wow, I think that's wonderful. And that's what we want. We want regional stability. In fact, I think we want global stability, ladies and gentlemen, so that every country can progress and every nation can live peacefully as well. But other than that, you know what? So back in 2020 or 21, towards the end of 21, or the summer of 21, I actually went to the northern areas of Pakistan as well, and I went to Khunjrat Pass.
Right,
and I wasn't really very happy because the Khunjrat Pass was shut down because of COVID and all of these other things as well. But finally, the good news is that Khunjrat Pass, ladies and gentlemen, will be opening its trade routes from the 1st of the next month.
Yes, of course, and it remained closed for 2.5 years, as he was telling us. And China and Khunjrat Pass is being reopened for the trade activities from April 1st.
And only to facilitate the transportation of the containers loaded with goods that had been stranded in China during the temporary opening of the border. Standard containers from China were unloaded at Khunjrat Top instead of the port at Sost.
Right.
Thank God I got it right. I thought that was Sost.
Right.
All right. Now, did you follow the Oscars?
Yes. I think it's all over the Twitter. It's all over the news media, and there's a very interesting development took place. When
talking about Will Smith.
Yes.
Are you talking about Will Smith?
Yes,
all right.
yes.
I think that that was just for the sake of creating memes and to create the hype of Oscars as well, because that slap didn't really look very original to me.
It was choreographed.
Yeah, I think it was choreographed as well, but obviously the world has to kind of go crazy about how Will Smith was such a gentleman that he actually stopped somebody while they were actually cracking a joke about his bald wife, and which obviously nobody should.
Yes,
everybody should be sensitive enough.
Of course, and you know, I was while I was driving, I was listening to BBC radio, and you know, they were discussing the race relations there, and you know how 3 black actors, you know, were involved in this. That's why there's so much, you know, brouhaha about it. And you know, if there was a white man or white woman on the stage, maybe you know the hype would not be. I don't know what would happen and what would not, but certainly it raised a lot of eyebrows, and it raised a lot of, you know, I don't know, excitement, or people were appalled. But then at the end, you know, when he gave the speech, people, you know, clapped, and he got a standing ovation out of there. So of course, you know, when you're
exactly. And not just that, even on his Instagram and on Twitter, he's actually issued an apology as well, where he said that I was actually quite a lot of emotion. There was quite a lot of emotion, but not just that. You know, so the world went so crazy that people actually started to write that if Tupac would have been there, you know, the situation would have been really very different as well.
And some people are saying that he wrote in his autobiography that, you know, he had a very abusive father, and he also thought of killing him because, you know, he used to hit his mother a lot. So some are saying that, you know, he has this, you know, innate, very defensive feeling to protect his family out there. That's why, you know, he stand up and he hit the...
well, you know, that's quite a story. But ladies and gentlemen, who won the Oscars is something which we wanted to share with you all as well, because I think Riz is actually making Pakistan proud as well, and it's because of the fact that he's a Pakistani origin, Hollywood-based actor, ladies and gentlemen, who actually won himself an Oscar for a film he worked in, and we want to share the images from that film as well. Please go ahead, let's take a look. Riz, thank you very much for making us proud. Thank you very much for giving us that Oscar which we always wanted. Thank you very much, Shireen Ubaid Chinoy as well. You know, you gave us that Oscar which we required. Thank you very much for raising the flag of Pakistan. But first, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's take a look at Riz's acting, which won him an Oscar.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Abu! Abu!
Sajan.
Abu! Get everyone together and they're rounding people up, man. It's happening. It's happening now. I'll make my own and buck your boxy concept of us. Very few fit these labels, so I'm ripping for the rest of us. Who know that there's no place like home and that stretches us. Who code switch so don't piss me off a cricket test for us, or question us about our loyalty, our blood and sweat's enough. Born under a sun that you made too hot for us. Kidnapped by empire and diaspora fostered us. Raised by Bangla garage and halal southern fried chicken shops. The jungle is the jungly. I'm Mowgli from the Jungle Book. I'm John Barnes in the box. I blaze hard off the mosque. I bend words like brown and west until they just spell what?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was Riz's acting. He's phenomenal and he's marvelous as well. And not just that, imagine that he even actually co-wrote the script. And I think that's wonderful. So thank you very much, Riz, for giving us this very amazing good news to all the Pakistanis. We're very happy. And just because, you know, your origin is from Pakistan, I think we're going to take pride in it as well. But ladies and gentlemen, now I think I have a question for Hajra. So Hajra, you know, a lot of times, you know, we do sit down, we read, we listen to songs, we go out for a drive. But then there are few people who actually want to read or write poetry. Even I do that at times because I rap myself, so I have to write my own lyrics. But are you, or do you have any sort of interest in poetry?
Right. So thank you so much for asking me this question. And nowadays, I started, you know, reading Allama Iqbal, and I was very impressed with the way he writes, with the way he, you know, composed the prose of the Urdu. And, you know, he talks on so many subjects, on so many topics, you know, which are so much close to our heart, despite the fact, you know, that he's no more with us now. And nowadays, I am reading his book. I would like to share that with you because that definitely widened my intellectual horizons.
Wow, and that's wonderful.
Yes. So he wrote a book called Reconstruction of Islamic Political Thought, and in which he, you know, recalls an Islamic anecdote in which he says that when Allah Ta'ala was about to create an entity called human, so all the angels were very, you know, discomforted by by this idea? Why are you making, an entity called human being, who's gonna go to earth and create fitna there, right? So fitna means destruction or, the civil war here. So Allah Ta'ala said to angels that you don't know what I know. And then he made Adam remember all the names. And and the angels were not able to produce them, but Adam was able to reproduce all these names. And then they said, verily, you know what we don't know. So he says that, this innate ability of humans to, create the concept, the ideas, it's what defines us apart. That's why we are crown jewel of the
Wow,
creation.
and just by what she shared with me, I think it already did expanded my horizon of knowledge and information as well, which is why today, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we are actually going to be in conversation with a poet who's been acclaimed worldwide as well, recognized worldwide, and he's one of those people who want you to talk about how the poetry of Faiz and Iqbal Saab and all of those other amazing poets of the subcontinent has been utilized by maybe Bollywood as well, and how we've sung it in songs but never understood the meaning of it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a student, former student of Aligarh University as well. He happens to live in the United States of America. He's visiting Pakistan, and we seriously wanted to had our hands on him so that we could have a good conversation and listen to a bit of poetry early in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Ziaul Hassan. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Absolutely perfect, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And to get started, sir, I have one couplet to share with you and for our audiences as well.
Please.
तूफान कर रहा है
तूफान कर रहा है
तवाफ
तवाफ
मेरे इर्द गिर्द
मेरे वाह
तूफान कर रहा है
तवाफ मेरे
इर्द गिर्द दुनिया समझ रही है कि कश्ती भंवर में है
वाह वाह वाह
वाह वाह वाह sir I think that's
दुनिया
dedicated
समझ
to
रही
you.
है कि कश्ती भंवर में बहुत अच्छा शेर है
That's dedicated to you, sir. And to get started, first things first, sir, I want to get started from Aligarh University.
Yes, sir.
Because when we talk about intellects, when we talk about poets, when we talk
ji.
about such great personalities, Aligarh
ji.
University
ji.
used to be the hub of it as well.
Yes, sir,
And
absolutely.
one interesting thing, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you, is that, if you see the Bollywood or the music that is coming from the Pakistan in 60s and 70s, you would see that a lot of composers are from the Aligarh University, and the couplets and the poems and the ghazals that they produce, there's such a depth of meaning to it, If you read that poems, if you read, listen to the songs, that really shakes you up. So that's really amazing that we have someone from the Aligarh University here.
Well, yeah, it's very nice that I'm here. I'm enjoying it. It's an honor to be
Thank you
here,
very much.
not only at PTV program, but also in Pakistan. It's a great pleasure for me, an honor. As far as Aligarh is concerned and Aligarh's contribution to the poetry is concerned, not many people are aware. Like, for example, the poetry used in the Indian film industry, for example, or Pakistani film industry, there's a lot of classical poetry that has been used in there. For example, Mughal-e-Azam, it's all full of ghazals.
True.
Who wrote it? An Aligarhian, a guy from Aligarh, and his name was Shakil Badayuni. He was from Badayun, but he was student at Aligarh University. Sardar Jafri was another known personality from Aligarh Muslim University. Then we had Majaz. ऐ गमे दिल क्या करूं, ऐ वहशते दिल क्या करूं, जी में आता है कि बढ़कर चांद तारे नोच लूं, इस किनारे नोच लूं और उस किनारे नोच लूं, ऐ गमे दिल क्या करूं. मजाज, अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी. अलीगढ़ ने बहुत शोरा पैदा किए हैं. मेरा इतना, I'm not that knowledgeable, or I have not studied as much as I should have. But it's a fact that Aligarh has produced poets not only in India, but the poets from there and the people who studied there brought that talent to Pakistan.
True.
And Pakistan already had tremendous amount of talent before, which it has now today as well. But there was some contribution from Aligarh University about that too.
Yeah, wonderful. And sir, in addition to that, so for example, when we speak about or read about Manto Saab, obviously there was a lot of sarcasm of whatever evil existed within the society. we talk about Lama Muhammad Iqbal Sahib as well. Obviously, he would raise awareness about how we really need to be so true to our religion and how we really need to practice our life as youngsters and what we really need to do. So every poet have always had their own genre, and so when we come down to your genre is romanticism as well, and you most of the time talk about how life needs to be romantic. So while you were in Aligarh University, you were exploring yourself to be a poet.
Correct.
Did you actually got a chance to romance with someone as well?
Yes, I did, and I'm paying for it for the last 45 years. Yes, that mistake costed me quite a bit, but I still enjoy that mistake. That's
Well,
very
that's
good.
wonderful.
Yes.
That's nice.
But does it help you in your poetry as well? Because how you've loved somebody and they've been with you besides you.
It does help.
All right.
The circumstances change, the experiences change, the feelings change,
Yeah.
but the love doesn't change.
Love doesn't say.
I have to tell you here, somebody told me that, okay, you love somebody when they're around you, when they're alive and all that. If that's the case, that you love somebody only when they're alive,
Yeah.
if that was the case, there wouldn't be Taj Mahal.
True.
Taj Mahal was built after Mumtaz Mahal died.
Yeah.
So my experience of love is still continuing with them.
So that's great. But when we actually hear about all of these love stories, when we talk about Sassi Pannu or Heer Ranja and all of those stories, whenever we get to hear them, the only problem with me is what I don't get is that none of them were able to actually achieve that love which they wanted in their life. They couldn't have it forever. And so hence, coming back to where you actually spoke about Taj Mahal, so then you left with words, then you left with poetry, then you left with expression. So how would you express when, God forbid, if you do not get the love you wanted for yourself?
It's a very, very good and valid question indeed. The love, what we call the ishq,
Yes.
what I have seen and learned and felt and experienced from other people's lives, ishq actually starts after somebody doesn't get what he is looking for. The success in love, success in the relationship with whom they wanted to have relationship, that's when I think the ishq starts. I think ishq is a feeling of defeat.
Yeah.
In spite of the fact that people enjoy it. Like for
Enjoying
example,
defeat, yeah.
like Faraz said that, एक उम्र से हूँ लज्जत गिरिया से भी महरूम, ऐ राहत जा मुझको रुलाने के लिए आ. That's what it is.
And that's exactly what it should do as well, because otherwise you won't really get those butterflies, right?
Correct.
What about you, Haja? What do you have to say about love and how important is love in life?
Right, right. So I think it's very important, and I think the love imitates the nature, and also the nature imitates love. That's
Wow.
that's
a good one.
Right. So I would like to ask you this question. Said that, do you think that the genre of ghazal has taken a back seat in our industry, in Bollywood too, and in our industry too? Because the older generation says that this new brigade of composers, they are to be blamed for that, and then the later say that no, it's the script that determines the voice of that. So that's why we are having more fast track songs here, and not the ghazals many more. What are you?
It's a very important question you just asked, because it is a fact that the music industry has lost the poetry completely.
Right, that's true.
It used to be that a poet, somebody used to give a situation that this is the situation and the poet has to write. Today, they call them lyricists. I don't think any lyricist can be a lyricist without being a poet.
All right.
It's my own thing. It has changed. And before, the decisions were made by the people who knew what they're talking about. Like, for example, poetry.
Right.
Poetry was decided by the poet. Music was decided by the music directors. In a song, you have a tune, then you have a rhythm, then you have background music and all that, and every department had an expert in that department.
That's
Today, somebody has a keyboard, he's the lyricist, he's the composer.
One-stop shop.
Exactly. So you can't be an expert on everything.
True.
That's
So those expertise that we used to have in different sections or departments of production of music and songs is gone.
So let's identify over here, because you said that being a poet is very different from being a lyricist. How do you think that we can draw the line in between a poet or a lyricist as well? Because the lyricist might be as poetic as any poet would be with the lyrics too?
Well, the poets are lyricists, period.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody, now they can write anything they wanted, they call him a lyricist. But lyricists, it used to be poets had some certain criteria,
Alright.
certain requirements, which are the requirements of our classical poetry.
Alright.
For example, in a song, in a tune, you have a rhythm.
Yep.
The rhythm of the sher, the misra, and the poetry
Yep.
has to match that rhythm
True.
of the music.
Yeah.
So a lyricist is the poet who will write that on that particular. I hope
Music
I
note.
answered the question.
Yes, you have.
Thank you.
Right, right. So you have, mentioned before that you have worked with a lot of big names in the Bollywood industry, and I would like you to compare the two generations. The generation of the 70s and now here. Do you think overcapitalization, commercialism has somehow, destroyed the very fiber of the ghazal, or the intellectualism that used to pour into the movie and the film industry? How would you compare the two eras?
There's a huge contrast between these two.
Right.
It used to be, as I said before, poetry was written by poets.
Right.
And anybody could not be a poet. To be a poet is not a very common thing.
Right.
There are a lot of poets, people who call themselves poets, that's fine. But fact of the matter is, those were very selected people who had very selected thoughts, very selected method of writing things.
True.
And there were criteria and rules and regulations within the world of the poetry that they used to follow. And that has gone. That was the reason that when we hear a 40-year-old song today,
Yeah.
Right.
we still love it and there's a feeling in
And we
it.
start to sing along.
That's true.
Exactly. But now today, if the lyrics don't match the tune of the song, it cannot be attractive.
Exactly.
Period.
And sir, in addition to that, so I'm going to give you two examples. So for example, in the recent generations, the kind of music we're listening to is "Mujhe pyar ho gaya poopa poopa." That's the lyric.
Yeah, yeah.
And we go back in time, with the songs which we kind of sing along. Is Dashte Tanhai, for example, or Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab, or Rahat Fateh Ali Khan Saab for that matter, or Atif Hassan has some great poetic songs as well. Now let's come down to when we talk about ghazal and when we talk about qawwali, that has been a part of our culture for a longer period of time.
Absolutely.
Even now, I have to mention Coke Studio over here because they did a wonderful qawwali track with the Miss Abda Parveen and Miss Naseebolal as well.
Yes.
So it's not that it's dying down, but I think that the interest of the elderly generation is dying down rather than the qawwali or the culture itself dying down, because we do have a lot of qawwali nights over here on mehndis, shadis and whatnot, and then we do have ghazal nights and we go and we do that. But I think it's for the elderly generation to explore more which genres are kind of relatable towards qawwali or the other bit of it.
When you have tasted something,
Yes.
if you loved it, you remember the taste of it.
True.
But if I give you the same thing 10 years later,
Yep.
and you want it because the name of the thing is the same that you heard before,
Yep.
but when you taste it, it's different, you probably don't like it. This is exactly what is happening with our older generation.
Wonderful.
That they heard something really beautiful, the whole package, the lyrics, the composition, the music, the arrangement of the music, and the singing.
Yeah.
And sometimes the picturization of that. All that is a package.
True.
When Coke Studio is doing great job for the younger generation.
True.
But we, the people of those yesteryears,
Yeah.
when we hear that, we kind of feel that what we ate the last time for 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it has something
Was
missing in
tastier
there.
than this one. Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't have that beauty to us. I mean, honestly speaking.
So it's exactly like that, if you taste success, the tongue will always ask for more. That's
Correct. You said that.
That's what it is. But
Very
sir,
well said.
towards the end of the segment, we obviously want to talk about how do you see the future of poetry, because while we talk about how ghazal and how the qawwali culture still exists, but we still need to kind of think that earlier there were songs being sung on duff only, And then with the advancements of instruments, obviously not that elderly generation would have jumped onto Qawwali or Ghazal saying, hey, you know what is this? We actually have tasted that duff and that lyric and that music, so we might not even like that. So you might have been in that debate while you were growing up or while you were our age as well. So let's not go there, because it's totally about whatever you want to hear, what pleases your ears as well. It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
But how do you see the future of poetry in days to come, in terms of maybe film industry, maybe people who want to be aspiring poets? What will be your message to them? And towards the end, we would want you to share a few of your couplets as well.
Absolutely. I'm visiting Pakistan because I was invited by a very, very great organization, Sakinane Sheher Qaid. They had a beautiful, grand mushaira in Karachi. I mean, I have seen very big mushairas, but this was impressive.
Wow.
The organization of the mushaira and all that. The beauty of that was that the poets were not the only people there. They were, it's my estimate, more than 30,000 people in that mushaira.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. I mean, I've seen very big mushairas and collection of a lot of people, a lot of great poets indeed.
That's the capacity of our cricket stadium over here in Rawalpindi.
Well, it was in
40,000, yes.
It was in the Expo Center.
Wow.
And the majority of the audience were younger people. And that's a very good sign for Urdu and Urdu poetry to continue in the future.
True.
And I salute to those people who organized that mushaira. There's one Mr. Mahmood Khan and the whole group of people. It was grand.
Wow.
So that's not only that what I saw there is beautiful, but I see that what is going to be beautiful in the near future and in the coming future. Wonderful. So younger generation and upcoming people, the Urdu is here in Pakistan.
Yeah.
In spite of the fact that we are talking in English and there is a thing that we all speak English, that's great.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, the beauty of our society, the beauty of our culture, the beauty of our respectability towards each other
Right.
is given by Urdu to a great extent.
That's true. That's true.
So I see that as still there. As you just mentioned, I've seen in Aligarh and all that, it's dying.
Okay.
It's literally dying.
Right.
If it is surviving anywhere, is here.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you very much. And we definitely take pride in that as well. But sir, very quickly towards the end, if you can share something with us.
I'll present a couple of ashars, 3-4 ashars of that. कि जब हम जुनून इश्क की हद से गुजर गए, जब हम जुनून इश्क की हद से गुजर गए, तन्हाइयों का साथ निभाने को घर गए। जब हम जुनून इश्क की हद से गुजर गए, तन्हाइयों का साथ निभाने को घर गए। और ये शेर इसलिए पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं कि ये शेर सिर्फ शेर नहीं है, ये आजकल के शोरा पर एक जिम्मेदारी, it is a responsibility towards the poets of this generation. It's a recognition of that responsibility. True. In these two couplets.
True.
तन्हाइयों का साथ निभाने को घर गए, अब हम बचे हैं, हमसे चला लो तुम अपना काम। अब हम बचे हैं, हमसे चला लो तुम अपना काम। फैज़ो फराज जा चुके, जोशो जिगर गए।
Wow. Kya baat hai. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation, and it's going to be one of the most memorable shows or interviews I've always conducted. But thank you very much, Yasa. Once again, stay blessed. Make sure that you write more and that you often visit Pakistan, because that's where poetry exists. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually heading out towards a
break.
Yes, let's do that. Good morning. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.